Welcome back for another episode of Ban Minot. Ban Minot is the first ever live streaming channel that will showcase programs, initiatives, and ideas related to the broad thematics of culture and social innovation. We are Evangelia, Maro, and another Maro, me, we're two Maro, and Nikos, your hosts. Today, Evangelia and Maro will work behind the cameras for the live streaming, so Nikos and I will be your presenters. All of us are cultural heritage professionals and members of the Bosch Alumni Network, aka BAN, aka our supporter in this endeavor. Nikos.
Okay, so some brief guidelines. We've already said those kinds of stuff, but anyway, for those of you that watch us for the first time and are new to Twitch. We have a delay of, let's say, 5 seconds, more or less, depending on your internet connection, what you see versus what's happening right here. But this means you can interact with us in real time via the chat. You can write questions, you can write comments, you can write whatever comes in your mind. We'll read the chat and then answer. Obviously, you need to be polite. People who are offensive to others in any way will be banned. The chat language is English, so please refrain from using any other languages, even if you know that we are able to understand these other languages. And lastly, you can use some special commands in the chat. For example, you can try typing !schedule or !next week and see what happens. Also, if you are new to our channel, please don't forget to click on the little image, on the little heart image to follow our channel.
So, following our first episode about project opportunities in the socio-cultural sector, for today, we invited guests from various backgrounds in order to discuss the theme of community fundraising. Firstly, we are joined by Philipp, Head of Programs with the European Cultural Foundation, the oldest independent cultural foundation with pan-European mission. Philipp will discuss with us about the European Cultural Foundation and the strategies they are working on for considering for community fundraising. Hello, Philipp. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, good evening.
And we also have Hanna. Hanna is a designer for social impact. She designs, coordinates, and implements projects in the fields of science, ecology, and renewables with a co-creative and participatory design approach. And Hanna, alongside with Manuel, and Manuel is the founder of the non-profit project Manaya, will talk to us about the crowdfunding for science project that they have already successfully implemented by using Indiegogo. Manuel, together with Pinar, runs a sailing research vessel and empowers water people to conduct their marine biology research projects on board with an open data and open science approach. You will see how this connects to our crowdfunding later on. So hello both, hello Hanna, hello Manuel, thanks for joining us.
Hello, very nice to be with you.
Hello, and thank you for having us.
Also, we have Adonis Vallindras, a film director and co-founder of Ladies Fingers Directing Duo, who will describe his Kickstarter campaign for funding his movie White Christmas 1948. Hello, Adonis.
Hello, nice to see you guys. Thank you for having me.
And lastly, but not least, we were planning to have another guest today, Argyro Barata, joining us from Thessaloniki, who unfortunately couldn't make it, but she took the time and prepared a video for us to show to you, describing her very interesting program called Feast that we can watch and perhaps discuss among us. So, going to the juicy part of the episode, the questions to our guests. We're going to start with you, Philipp. Our first question, please tell us a few words and to the audience in order for them to understand about the European Cultural Foundation in general. What is your mission? How you work with communities?
Yes, no, so very general, you already mentioned that we are a very old foundation. So we have been around literally for almost 70 years now, since 1954, and we were established after the war by after the Second World War by some Europeans from all over, from Switzerland, from the Netherlands, and from all over Europe, from Greece also, for example, who by visionaries who thought back then already that after this disaster of war, the European community should come together not only through coal and steel and state treaties, but also by creating a cultural community. Literally, that's what they said. And they felt that through what they called creating a European sentiment, so that we all start to feel belonging to a European community, that would have to be created through cultural and educational projects. And the maybe most prominent project in our long history that came out of that mission and vision and thinking is the Erasmus Students Exchange, which we were helping to create and together with the European Commission, and then we're running from 1985 to 92 with a big office in Brussels. So that's maybe the biggest community the European Cultural Foundation, or an idea of the European Cultural Foundation, helped to generate in its history. And many of our projects today, be it Tandem, which many of the Bosch Cultural of the Bosch Alumni Network know, have been involved, and I know you, Manuel, and Hanna also. So there are a few Tandemians around is still acting in that same spirit. I should also mention, coming back to the financing topic, that we are an independent foundation that is receiving its basic income annually from a contribution from Dutch lottery players, which is also a big community. Actually, when you talked about the topic, I thought like, yeah, actually, that's also a community of like individuals providing the basic financing. And then we work with a community of befriended foundations all over Europe, public funders from local to regional to national level, but especially also EU institutions to make more out of that basic income we have per year. Is that enough for the beginning, or shall I continue more?
It's more than enough, actually. And thank you for all this information.
And quick note for the people who watch us live, you can type !ECF, like European Cultural Foundation, ECF, press enter, and then you'll find the link that takes you to the European Cultural Foundation site.
Yes, there are many resources and information there you can use and also learn about European Cultural Foundation. I checked your website earlier, Philipp, and what I liked very much is that you are active, as you say, in 3 thematic domains that define your work: experience, imagine, and share Europe. I understand this is sort of your strategy and mission at the same time. How you briefly said it, but if you can elaborate how community fundraising or practices of crowdfunding fit into your strategy and into this concept.
Yes, thanks for relating it directly to our 3 thematic program areas. This, I have to say, this is like the 70-year-old mission working on that sentiment is still the overarching idea and vision and mission we are on. But this share, experience, imagine is the 3 programmatic focus areas we have in the current strategy, which started in 2019 and runs until 24. And indeed, maybe I should also mention, when you go to our website, you also see other activity areas, because we have also a department that works on translating a lot of the ideas from our programs into EU institution and into EU policies, so that they benefit, again, larger communities like the whole European Union, but a much broader range of countries in the EU neighborhood as well. So this is all part of our overall mission, but indeed in this share, experience, imagine, these are the 3, I think it's still described as pillars, but meanwhile they are like really interwoven in different program areas we work in. And in terms of community fundraising or crowdfunding, as you mentioned, there we are really at the very beginning. We have actually only since February now in our communication and marketing department, which is yet another separate department, which does much more than a communication department usually does. For example, also now developing entirely new campaigns for fundraising from individual donors, donation campaigns. We have done very little before. There's, for example, in the Bosch Alumni Network also Mid-Ost, and I think those who follow Mid-Ost have been also witnessing since February how quickly their community raised funds for support of colleagues in Ukraine. We also were active with the Culture of Solidarity Fund in Ukraine, but ours was funded from our lotto resources and altogether 12 foundations. So we have not tapped into that potential of our large alumni community, community of grantees, Friends of Europe, Friends of DCF for fundraising so far yet, but we have started the process of mapping our different communities at the moment, which is done by our colleague actually from Thessaloniki, who is working on that to develop a new strategy also with individual donations. But we have little experience ourselves as a foundation with that yet, although we have been collaborating with foundations in the past, also my colleague Vivian, for example, with the German Bewegungsstiftung, which is a foundation that is based on, I think, a few dozen individual donors who all decide together. So we have been in touch with it, but ourselves at the very beginning of that.
Nice. So I understand that you are building your crowdfunding / communication also campaigns based on a mission. You're mission driven in your activities, and that's what you put in front in order to engage people, or not actually people, institutes or donors, as you mentioned, to contribute.
That's true, yes. And you know, although I said we are at the very beginning to design this more community-based, lots of smaller or medium-sized contributions. There we're at the beginning, but indeed, we already the first thought we had is absolutely mission-driven. That we think it can't be, you know, that there are not sufficient number of people out there all over Europe who care about Europe as much as we do, and who maybe are in these times also afraid for the future of Europe, who would not be with the right approach and communication and strategic outreach ready to maybe donate small amounts or less for the things we do. That's also the reason indeed why Depi is her name, who works on the mapping of the communities, and a colleague actually who literally joined us only last week from Slovenia. I am not in the programs department, but in the communications department, because it's about strategic communication of our mission, like you pointed out. Yeah.
Okay. One last question so far. If you could now say like 3 or a few benefits from your perspective, but not as individual, as an organization talking, how using crowdfunding help you? Like, what are the most important benefits that you would say?
I would actually connect it to what you already said. I think it can be a very effective way of communicating your mission effectively, also in a way like how I mean that, you know, you if you manage to reach out to a large crowd that donates something, I think you can have also a pretty credible indicator and proof that the message you tried to send out has landed. Otherwise, these people wouldn't have given you money. Honestly, in our whole financial setup framework, I don't think that it will become so important that, you know, it will will at some point be more important than the lottery income we have or than the income we have from partner foundations, but it doesn't have to be as big either. So I cannot imagine that ECF would only run on small scale individual donations, but I consider it as a very effective way of communicating your mission. When you think about community more of, you know, befriended foundations or individuals who have inherited, you know, some assets and want to contribute to a European mission, then I think it could become a much more also financially important aspect already, also communicating your mission, but also in this case then probably creating a patchwork of maybe individual ideas to contribute to Europe under an umbrella of our overall mission. And we also have an example of that because we have actually a mother foundation, which is the Prince Bernhard Cultural Fund, which does the work we do on national Dutch level. And through them, we receive our lottery funding. And they have for many years already, a very successful scheme where you can, as an individual living in the Netherlands, donate or give your legacy to the foundation, and they take care of a cultural project or cultural heritage site or a region or whatever you kind of like put in your legacy. And this is is very successful financially also. So that makes a big part of their income already. I said like, Rose, it's going down a bit now because it's with times of insecurity and war and raising prices. It seems to be, I haven't spoken to them if they have looked into the reasons for that income going down already. But of course, you could imagine that individual people give their legacies rather again to their families or to other causes like the war in Ukraine in these times. So, but for our Mother Foundation has been a very substantial stream of income. It took a long time to build it up. That's what I also still remember. It took them 10 years to build it up.
Wow. Yeah, I guess it's a matter of trust as well, so it takes time. Wow, very interesting information, Philip. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to our next guest and discuss about crowdfunding for science. Hanna and Manuel, hi.
Hi.
Hello.
If you want to please explain us what is that project about, what is crowdfunding for science?
Sure. I'll just start and then Manuel jump in. So I guess we're like very much on the other side of the scale in terms of size. So like our project was very experimental and very like small scale. And that's where we started from. So we were asking ourselves like, who actually decides on science? Like what projects are worth funding and and who gets that, who receives that? And Manuel runs with Project Manaya marine expeditions. So they actually enable these small scale research projects and young researchers. And Manuel and Pinar paid a lot of trust forward to let me basically experiment with their boat at their home. And so we started this crowdfunding campaign to invite young scientists, young marine scientists, to propose their own research projects. Because that very often doesn't happen, that you cannot go on an expedition because you don't have experience, but you cannot gain experience when you don't go on an expedition. So that's a little bit of an uncool cycle. So we started from that, and again, very experimental. It was like the first crowdfunding campaign organized by us like that. And we had 4 different scientists who proposed their projects, and then they made like small videos, and there was already like a good exercise for scientists to communicate in like a poppy and funky way to normal people why their research matters and not to their professors. And then through this campaign, people could donate to the different projects, and by that voting for the ones that they wanted. Spoiler, in the end, we actually made all of them happen somehow, but it was a way how to vote on them and to to also express an opinion. We asked local shops to give us like small perks, which are marine related, and Manuel produced 3D printed objects from recycled plastics on the board. So we also gave that to the people. And yeah, as Philipp said, it was also like, for us, it was a lot about a communication tool. And then basically the winners, they were able to come for 1 week on board with Project Manaya and conduct their research there. And then we also shared stories from that. And we also had sort of like science assistants who could come for 2 or 3 days. So there was also a mix between science and normal people, so to say. That was the first round, and now we're starting to plan for the next one. Manuel, what did I forget?
I think you pretty much covered everything. I mean, for me, the most beautiful thing was to actually have people coming on board with their own research projects already in their pockets, basically. And the other fact was that somehow there was enough people out there to believe in the projects and in all of us making it happen somehow, to chip in with the money and basically finance the whole show, which is very different from the situation we usually have, because we generally struggle to get the money together to run any expedition. So it was really genuinely beautiful to see that there's interest and there's enthusiasm to make small-scale research projects happen. And obviously it helps a lot that each one of the participants, plus everyone else who was involved, pulled in their family and their friends and everyone they could get a hold of, really. But yeah, in the end, I think it was a great learning experience for everyone, not just the researchers, but also Hanna and myself. And yeah, we got the job done. So I think it went pretty smooth.
Okay, so before we continue, maybe we should watch your short pitch in Indiegogo and then continue our comments.
Welcome to Sicily and the beautiful Mediterranean Sea.
The bathtub of Europe, gentle waves, crystal clear water, dolce vita, and the good life.
But also plastic pollution, overfishing, habitat loss, and accelerated climate change.
Well, these are the problems we know of, but there are also many things we don't know about, like
the last natural coastal habitats and how we can protect them. How far in the mess of microplastics are we really? Or do these guys come with a Sicilian dialect as well?
So we definitely need more science around the Mediterranean Sea. But what science is worth funding, and who actually decides about that?
What about you?
What if people like you and me decided what research matters, is lacking, or is simply incredibly exciting and therefore worth to be funded? With this campaign, CrowdScience, we want to find out how crowdfunding can enable small-scale research projects and empower citizens.
4 scientists are proposing to you their research ideas dedicated to the Mediterranean Sea.
The winners then come on board on a research sailing boat for 1 week.
But let's hear it from them themselves. Scientists, what do you get for us?
Hello, my name is Argyro. I want to make research about deep diving cetaceans, especially about the sperm whales.
I'm Stefano Marsala. I want to find out if the military activities that have been carried out for the last 60 years are damaging the Posidonia meadows of Punta Bianca.
My name is Sabrina, and I want to find out what we can learn from a sailing crew for personal, team and organizational development.
Hello, I'm Isabel Marin. I want to find out how macro and microplastic distribute around the island of Sicily.
Got your favorite research project already? You can scroll down a little further to find out more about them in detail.
You vote who comes on board with us. And in open research manner, all the results are going to be shared back to the crowd.
And not only that, you can also choose from a range of perks.
Christmas is coming around the corner pretty soon.
You can choose from marine-themed postcards, unique pieces from Palermo artisans, or handmade objects from recycled plastic.
We also have a very special perk for our backers. Spend 3 nights on board with us and assist the scientists. Come to Sicily in April 2022.
You can do that directly on the platform by selecting a perk, and in the options you can choose the project that you would like to support. In order to make it all happen, we need a minimum of 1,500 euros, which runs the boat and the research projects for 1 week. Once we reach that goal, we will stretch it out to another 1,500 euros, so we can actually host all the 4 different researchers on the boat for a total of 2 weeks.
Select a perk, vote for your favorite project, and spread the word to your friends, family, and network by forwarding this campaign.
Together, we can stretch the boundaries of science empowered by the crowd.
Okay, so that was a cool video. Did it take you long to make? Was it hard?
You mean the video?
Yeah.
Well, you see, it's like it's a group work, so it was a patchwork to like do that all together. And luckily, we had a lot of like nice stock footage from Manuel already that we could use, and it was more fun than hard, I would say.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. I always think that those kinds of pitching videos are quite hard to make, but if it's also fun, yeah, why not? Good. And apparently these kinds of videos are quite essential for a successful campaign. Do you have any other points, any other, I don't know, what else is essential for people to have a successful crowdfunding campaign?
Maybe realistic goals. Like ours was, yeah, as you said in the video, like we had the first one at 1,500 euros. And we actually reached that quite fast.
Yeah, in a week, if I remember correctly.
Sorry?
It was a week, 7 days, was it not?
Something like this. It was really quick. And then the second half took longer because then you don't have that much like incentives anymore to be like, yes, let's make that happen. So that was great to know like we can actually do that. I think what also helped a lot was, again, it was like a group work or a community work because we had our scientists involved to engage their personal networks. And so that was great. It was still kind of like pandemic heavy. So a lot of things happened online. And I'm sure like when we will do it again, we will include more like in-person events as well, because then it's also nice to, you know, see people touch things, be in the real world. So that was a little bit challenging because communicating only online not reaches only a specific type of people. And I would say like constant communication, like not one, but like every day and something more in bits and pieces. And I think what also helped a lot, not so brand heavy, like more personal things, because it wasn't done professional. It was done by us, and you could see that they're actually, it's not a large organization behind there. It's people who care about that result, what comes out. So I think that was really important. Manuel, do you have like other points, if you remember?
No, I think you pretty much got it covered once again. Yeah, for me, the key really was that we had so many people who really pulled the project. So it was not just us who organized the whole thing, but also each and every single one of the researchers who basically wrote an email to every one of their aunts and grandparents. And well, those were really the big supporters throughout the project, I think. So that definitely helps. Get as much reach as you possibly can from the very beginning, and then just talk about it with everyone, everywhere, at any time. And that's what a bunch of people did. And I think that's what made a huge difference.
Okay, yeah, communication is always essential. That's very true. Another questions of our questions. Why did you choose Indiegogo? I mean, there is Kickstarter, there are other platforms. Why Indiegogo?
And there was a very good reason for that, which I'm not 100% sure if I remember well. I think that in general, like Kickstarter is more for like product placements, like products that you want to finance. And Indiegogo at that time, for sure. I mean, at that time, I'm talking if that was like, I don't know, ages ago. They had this like arts and culture section as well, and environment and social projects. So that was more moved to less product based and more into this one. And I think there was also something connected with payment modalities. But
I think there was one catch with Kickstarter that you needed at least one person who has a base in the US, which we didn't have. There was something with a US bank account or US registration. So basically something that knocks out everyone in Europe.
Yes, US, yeah, in the UK, but I think they're expanding now. So for new campaigns happening right now, this might not be the case for the new ones, for Kickstarter. Okay, so did you have some kind of checklist? I mean, we need to do this and that and that. What would you advise to a person who would like to start a campaign but is not sure how to start, how to organize themselves?
I mean,
you seem to be extremely well organized, to be honest.
That's great.
It was just you, it's not professional, but it had the professional vibe. And I know you did a lot of research.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we did research. I mean, again, and started with talking with people who have experience in that already. And then there are pretty good guides online. I think as well from Indiegogo and from Kickstarter, they're pretty good, and you can follow them. Yeah, I guess like what was the like most important steps? Again, I guess I would say assemble your crew because it's going to be stressful, and if you do it in more people, it's just much more fun. And then, of course, you can prepare all these steps, you know, like organize your perks. So that's already another great communication channel, because you can work with local shops or people who offer you stuff, and they're happy to give that most of the time. And prepare some of the communications, but a lot of them, like we had some milestones prepared in terms of like, when I say communication, now posts like on social media and stuff. We had some of them prepared, but a lot of them we made as we went for the was it like 2 weeks campaign. Other steps, make a good financial plan beforehand, and also make very clear where you spend, like what money you will spend where. Prepare for shipping with Italian Post.
Okay, yeah, all those stuff are good to know. So you were talking about the second round. Have you got any plans at the moment?
Manuel is currently working on the second plan.
Yes, so plans are definitely in process from our side. So part of the reason why today I'm not on a fast internet, but sitting in a cafe with a dodgy phone, staring at the table, is because we are currently out hunting for a bigger boat. So next round we can actually take on more researchers and get even more work done, since we have been using the other one for 5 years now. And last year was the first time we had more people wanting to run projects than we had actual space on the boat. And it's just a shame to see good projects not becoming reality simply because we don't have a bed on the boat. So here we are hunting for a new one.
Yeah, and of course we had a lot of like learnings from the first round that we would like to implement. So like in terms of you know, like amount of time on the board, on the boat, in terms of preparation, like also expectation management from the different participants, how to like doing a bit like prep training on how to run a marine expedition, since that's it's a very intense situation. And again, like we are looking for people who don't have experience in that, so providing some of that. Maybe we will also like
also to see which projects are actually compatible, which ones don't work together so well, so what can be combined, what can't, is one thing we learned a lot about.
Yeah, and then we will definitely also have the time shorter, so between the campaign and then the actual on board, because that also created some issues, because people have lives and things happen in the meantime. So we had to, you know, do some changes here and there. So having that closer together, which is also more satisfactory than if you participate in a campaign and you see the outcomes right away. So that's also cool. So all of these insights and learnings that we had from the experience, the first one, we'd like to implement for a second one. Also, in terms of like scaling up or making better connections already with universities, like with some institutions. So the first one was like just us and being like very, very people up. But it would be nice to also connect to some more organizations, structures, institutions to also enlarge that impact.
Well,
Then again, it's a process. Sorry.
No, I want to say you did a great job, actually, and congratulations on your very successful campaign. And it's very nice that it went that well, that you feel confident after this first try to continue with more projects, and not just more projects, but scale up and try bigger. This shows that the first time it can be scary, but once you do this, you can move on. And I'm saying this because personally, when we did the first episode of this channel, I was very stressed, but now I'm enjoying it. It's
That's
very nice to have
that's
you all. So thank you, Hanna and Manuel. It's time to move forward with our next guest, Adonis, who also had another very successful crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter. Hi, Adonis. Before you share with us your crowdfunding experience, let's start by you telling us a few words about your project, White Christmas 1948.
So it's a short film about the Greek Civil War. And this actually film is an adaptation from a short story from the writer Yorgos Kamardonis. So we took the rights from that short story, and the script was adapted by Alexandra Diranis Maounis, who wrote the script so we could move forward for filming. And we were lucky enough to get funding from the Greek Film Center, also from ERT, which is the national broadcasting channel, but we needed more money for the production because it was a really difficult project to take place. So we had 85 backers who supported the project, and they made it happen because we really needed that extra amount of money so that we could take the film in the mountains of Greece. So that's the story.
Challenging, but nice.
Okay, before we move on, let's watch Antoni's short pitching video in Kickstarter.
Hello, my name is Adonis Vallindras. I'm a film director based in Athens, Greece, and I would like to talk to you about White Christmas 1948, a fictional historical drama based on the short story White Christmas of 2003 by Yorgos Kamardonis. It takes place during the Greek Civil War and tells the story of a spontaneous ceasefire during Christmas time. Perlepes, a young, romantic, and a rather quirky soldier of the Democratic Army, decides to gather a few comrades and go on a secret mission. What I appreciated the most about this story is that the characters are not stereotypical. By telling such a story where fixed beliefs are broken, we start a conversation about the barbarity and injustice of civil wars and the effects they have on future generations. We aim for a sentimental journey, a roller coaster of emotions that will reveal both the power of humanity and the absolute chaos and destruction of war. I used to spend every summer at my grandpa's in Naxos Island. Since I was a young kid, I remember him vividly narrating stories about his experiences as a soldier in World War II. Years later, after I read the story White Christmas of 2003, I felt mesmerized by it and wanted to create a film out of it. My vision is to explore the Greek identity further and focus on traumas of the past. I would like to reintroduce myself as a director with a story about the Greek Civil War. The film is supported by ERT, the national broadcasting channel, and the Greek Film Center. We have accumulated most of the budget. What we're looking for is the extra money needed in order to film the project with snow, because without it, we lose part of our character's struggle during this experience and a huge part of the story's symbolism. Filming will take place this winter. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for your support.
Okay, so this did look challenging in general, but what were the challenges you have faced in the campaign?
Okay, first of all, the truth is that when you're trying to, either through Kickstarter or wherever you're going for a campaign, we started, it's not an easy thing, okay? So we begin that it's a full-time job actually, and it's not like a side project that you can do let's say you're focusing on a film or in another project, and you're like, oh, by the way, I'm going to make a funding video and I'm just going to get all the money. The truth is that nobody really wants to support many projects, because there are many projects that take place, and it's not an easy thing to do. So we start with lowering the expectations, because things are going to get a bit weird after you launch the campaign. At first, some of your good friends are going to support it very closely. So the first amount of money, yes, it's not that difficult to get. But if you're aiming for a bigger number, our number was 7,000 euros. It was really, really difficult to actually make it. So for me, it was, apart from making the video, apart from making all the artworks that I hired, there were 3 people that worked for the campaign. There was the graphic designer. We had a different person to write all the texts and all the concept. Then it was the director of photography that we went, the 2 of us, to film the video on the mountain. Then another colleague that did the editing. So there's a lot of people involved into something like that. So it's not something very easy. And then in order to make it, my approach was to send to any person I know a private message that I'm doing this video. So you need to be, in a way, ready to accept failure and ready to accept that somebody's not going to help you after all. So, but this is not going to, you have to be able not to have bad feelings about anyone or anything. It's just a game. So you have to see the whole process as a game and try your best in order to make the money in the project. I mean, what the campaign is a polite way to ask for money from your friends, first of all, and then from people that you know a bit. And then if for some reason this becomes viral and other people want to invest, that's great. But in order to get that virality, I think it's really difficult. I mean, you have to have like an amazing campaign video, an amazing campaign, and something that is relatable to a lot of people. So it's not really easy, but still you can make it. If you don't go like for really high numbers, you can make it by trying your best and working all day with it. It's not like you put it on, then you go for vacation, you come back, you have 7K. That's not the reality.
So your campaign was take it or leave it, meaning if you reach the goal, you would take the money, but otherwise you would take nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the main difference with Indiegogo, because I've done a campaign there in the previous film with a much smaller amount. The biggest difference is that with a Kickstarter, there is either all or nothing. So what the philosophy of Kickstarter is that if you don't get the whole amount of money, then there's no point to get 50%, let's say, because either way, you're not going to be able to make the project. So they're saying either all or nothing. So that's one case. In Indiegogo, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but the one in the UK, the Indiegogo, there you can get.
We understand.
Yeah. There you can get a percentage of the money, but then you have to pay a bigger fee to the company because you didn't reach the goal, so you didn't really do a good job. And also, just to say that to Manuel, there was no problem with the getting the money from Kickstarter. I think Kickstarter has in Greece, at least, it has representatives where you can speak with them. There is, I don't remember. I'll tell you who is the Greek one. So there is a lot of support from somebody local that can support you on how you're doing it. I mean, that's what my case was. So I think it's a good, I mean, for me, it was a good platform and a good experience. I got the money, everything was good.
Okay, that's a nice insight. I mean, how would we find this person? Is he on the Kickstarter
Call
site?
me later, I'll tell you.
Okay, I'll call you later. Anyway, okay. Would you like to show us a promo of your movie?
Yeah, I mean, eventually we managed to make the film. Now we're trying to send it to festivals. We will see how it will go. Really difficult. That's another difficult project. But anyways, we will see. Okay. So it's a really, you're not gonna see much, but just to get an idea, a very small idea, it's like 20 seconds.
Ρε φασιστές! Να τα πούμε!
Okay, so that's the idea, a small idea you could get from the film, but I mean, it was a nice experience, obviously, being on the snowy, with the snow in the mountains, but the truth is that it was a really difficult project. So it took me, I think, a couple of years of my life to create.
Okay.
Oh.
And when
Sorry,
will we be able? Yeah, no worries. When will we be able to watch the whole movie?
For that, wait, give me 1 second. All
We are
right.
listening part of the movie in the background right now.
Yeah.
Official preview for
So
everyone here
maybe
in 1 minute.
the premiere is gonna be here, and they're not gonna. They're gonna tell me, no, you cannot bring the film now. No, so the film is going to be. Right now, we're trying to send it to festivals abroad. I mean, not in Greece. And next year, hopefully, it's gonna start from a drama, which is a really important film festival, and then go to the other Greek festivals. I think it's, to be 100% honest, I think it's a film more relatable to Greeks because it's about the Greek Civil War. It's historic. I'm sure that there is other people can connect because it talks about polarization, and which is a big thing, I guess, in our societies nowadays. But so far we haven't done, it hasn't been accepted to any festival because it's a difficult process as well. But we're optimistic, and hopefully it's gonna do something abroad. And next year it's gonna be also in Earthflix, so you'll be able to watch it.
At least the Greek one.
Except Nico, if you want to call me again, and I'll send you the link.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Thank you very much for all those insights.
Yeah, very, very interesting project, and crossing fingers for your submission to the festival. Good luck with that. So let's go to our next. We're going to actually move forward with watching a video from Argyro. She couldn't make it, as we said in the beginning of the episode, but she prepared a presentation about Feast, a platform for funding entrepreneurship and arts with sustainable tactics. So let's see what she has to say.
Hello everyone, thank you very much for inviting me in this online event. I'm sorry I'm not able to be there in real time, but through this presentation I will share with you a crowdfunding project that I did a few years ago that it's called Feast, and how it helped propel social innovation in the cities of Thessaloniki and Athens. I am Argyro Barata, I'm a cultural manager, and I have a very big portfolio of things that I am involved with, but especially I will share with you this project that it's called Feast. So we are in the midst of the big financial economic crisis in Greece back in 2013, and at that time public funding was very scarce. A lot of projects were not being able to fulfilled for very few amount of money, and that was something that we decided, me and a collaborator back then, to trying to tackle by doing crowdfunding dinners. This is something that took place all over the world, like in Detroit, and especially in the cultural sector. So FEAST was a non-profit initiative that wanted to fund entrepreneurship and the arts with sustainable tactics. So what is crowdfunding? It is actually to be able to gather from a large crowd a small sum of money in order to be able to fulfill a project. So having as a main concept the idea to support local creativity, we started to organize in real time dinners in unexpected places. And what we did is we made a call to the local community of creatives to send their projects that needed some cash injections in order to take place. So we then had like 4 or 5 projects to be presented, and when people arrived at the venue, they were making a donation of 10 euros, and they were taking a ballot in their hands, plus all the projects presented in a flyer. And then the creatives had the opportunity to share the idea and to try to convince people to vote for them. Then the people, they could cast the vote, which was the favorite project, and at the same time had the opportunity to enjoy a beautiful dinner and good quality of a glass of wine. And at the same night, we were counting the ballots, and the people who had the most of the people's support could get the money that we raised at that time at the entrance. More or less, we were able to raise between 1,000 and 2,000 euros in its event. Let me share a few stories of a couple of our winners, like in Athens, Dog's Voice, which is an online platform for responsible dog adoption. And at that time, what they wanted is the production of a promotional video in order to get more support from funders. Also, another project that won in Thessaloniki is the Roma Dog Club, which was a documentary making workshop, and they wanted to fund the equipment in order to do that and support the local community of Roma children in the city of Thessaloniki. Also, at the last event that we did, we decided to find some support for the people who didn't win. So we managed to have like free services from designers, graphic designers, from accountants, from attorneys, for legal support, and we wanted to create value for everybody, even if it was winners or they weren't able to get the support of people, but at least have some value into that. So the difference between offline and online is that you are able to form relationships. There were a lot of synergies that were actually fostered during these events, and it was a wonderful networking tool, but also a good opportunity to get a feedback for your idea. We managed to have a promo saying that don't go out the time, come at us, have a nice dinner, and at the same time support local creativity, which actually create a really nice buzz and trend in the city of Thessaloniki. Also, with our with this initiative, we were able to gather around us a lot of support from other institutions, like the US Embassy, that gave us the opportunity to go to major events and present our idea, like South by Southwest, but also to create very important mentor-mentee relationships with important platforms around the world. But also it gave us the opportunity to be part of the BAN community through this project at the Citizens Lab project of the band and be part of the community with other like-minded people from all around the world, which created bottom-up approaches and collaborative tools for their communities. Also, let me share a few of the things that we learn regarding crowdfunding, that it's better to have smaller goals, which makes it easier to be reached. And it is important to create a buzz the first few days of your campaign and have some extra cash to boost your campaign at the end if this is necessary, in order to get, if you are especially in these platforms, that all or none funding at the end of their campaign. Also, to have a very short term campaign, not very big one, because it's very difficult to continue to keep the interest of people in your campaign. And you as a creator to be able to expose yourself, to be out there asking this money, and in your communities that you have created throughout social media, to able to gain their support in your projects and to be next to you. Closing that, I would say that for me, crowdfunding, it's an amazing tool which democratizes funding, especially to everyday people that want to take their initiatives into their own hands and create something good to their communities. So this is the story. Thank you very, very much. I'm sorry again for not being there to answer any questions that you might have, but feel free to contact me in this email address for any questions. Thank you again.
Wow, I really like this presentation because you went straight to learnings and gave 1, 2, 3 points for everyone who wants to do it. Like, what can you use from my experience? I guess we reached the end of our interviews. We have like 1 minute because we did share a lot of thoughts and experiences among us. So I was wondering if any of our guests want to open their mic and like add 1 small point very shortly, or ask each other something, but in short time, if you have something that you just cannot not share it with us. No pressure, of course. I don't want to.
Is that a dog there with Hanna?
Yes.
Yes, I probably forgot.
Okay, I'm like, was that? It was blurry.
Always good in crowdfunding campaigns too, probably, to bring a dog.
Yes.
Or
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Yeah, good
That's a valuable
Excellent
point.
I mean, animals and children always bring people.
Okay. So to sum up, from all that we heard today, I took some notes that mission-driven campaigns are very important. Be realistic about your goals. It's not easy, so be prepared to fail, but do it with all your heart. Go out there, expose yourself, and learn. And it's a good way, it's a good tool to democratize funding and communicate your work and your mission. So we reached the end of another episode here in Ban Minot. Once again, I would like to thank all our guests, Philipp, Hanna and Manuel, Adonis and Argyro. Thank you very much. It was, wow, very interesting contribution you provided to us. And of course, I would like to thank anyone who joined and watched this episode. If you have anything, and that goes to our audience, if you want anything to ask us or comment or share ideas, you can always find Peripatos on Facebook and Instagram, or email us at to info@peripatos.net. If you are a band member, you can always find us in the band platform, of course, and message us. And do not forget that we will be back next Thursday at 6 p.m. Central European Time, and we're going to discuss this time the theme of urban walks. Thank you all, and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.